Good morning, students. Welcome to the online classes in physics for standard 12th. I welcome you all. Today, we would devote some time for a very important derivation for finding the magnetic field at some point on the axis of a finite solenoid. For doing this derivation, we need to know the formula for magnetic field at a point on the axis of a circular coil. This we have already derived using Bad-Savart law. So this is a circular coil with only one turn, suppose. Then the formula for magnetic field at a point on the axis is given by V naught I r square twice of r square x square to the power 3 by 2, where x is the distance of this point from the center along the axis, r is the radius of this coil, and I is the current in the coil. Now, as I told, this is for one turn. If the number of turns in this coil be capital N, then this formula we will multiply with capital N. And the direction of magnetic field, we can use right hand rule. If the current is like so, when seen from my side, if the current is anti-clockwise, then the magnetic field will be towards left. Otherwise, it will be towards right. With this particular concept and a bit of mathematics, we can derive for the expression for magnetic field at any point on the axis of a finite solenoid. We have done the We have obtained the expression for magnetic field into a very long solenoid, but today we will do it for finite solenoid. Let the length of this solenoid be A plus B. The point where we have to find the magnetic field, that point we choose as origin. This we choose as x-axis. So this distance we take as A, and this distance of the other end from O, we take it as B. So this is A, and the remaining distance is B. Okay, so that the total length is A plus B. Let I be the current actual turns of the coil I am not representing. Now, to find the magnetic field due to the entire solenoid at this point, what we would do? We shall take a element in the form of a circular ring-like structure, like so. This we will take at distance, say x, from the center, from the origin, and its thickness we will take it as, suppose, dx. So it is also a circular current carrying loop. Now the number of turns in this, which I write as capital N, will be how much? First we'll find that. Let small n be the number of turns per unit length. Number of turns by length of the solenoid. So number of turns per unit length, if it is small n, then the total number of turns in this much thick portion of the element will be this thickness into small n. What is this thickness? This thickness is dx. So this will become n times dx. What is the current? I is the current. Now we will use this formula to find magnetic field due to this circular segment at this point on the axis. This magnetic field will represent as dB and will be given by mu naught. Now instead of capital N, we will write n dx. I r square, r is the radius of this solenoid, upon twice of r square plus x square to the power 3 by 2. X is this distance. Now this is the magnetic field due to this circular element, this one, at this particular point. Now we have to find the magnetic field due to the total solenoid. So for the entire solenoid, the magnetic field will be given as B is equal to integral dB is equal to mu naught n I r square 2. Mu naught n I r square 2. What is left behind is dx upon r square plus x square to the power 3 upon 2. Now in this integral, the limit of x should be from left end to the right end. So x is equal to minus a over here. See, this we have taken as origin. This distance is a. So this will write as x is equal to minus a. This is x is equal to 0. And this distance is b. So we'll write this as x is equal to plus b. So from minus a to plus b is are the limits of the integration. Now our whole derivation will now depend upon is now reduced to finding this particular integral. So instead of continuing this way, what I would do, I will first find this particular integration. After finding, I'll put it over here and then we'll get the value. So let us write separately this integral I, the indefinite integral dx upon r square plus x square to the power 3 by 2. Now this integration might look complicated to you. We cannot use such a direct formula for this, but no problem, we can easily derive this particular integration. So we can solve for it. We will put x is equal to r tan theta. So differentiating, we'll get dx is equal to r sec square theta d theta. Okay. Now you might ask, sir, why did you put r tan theta? You can equally well put r cot theta also. Clear? If you put r cot theta, if you put r tan theta, in other case you will get the answer. Generally the trick is that if you have x square minus r square, put x is equal to r cos theta, or r square minus x square if it is there, put x is equal to r cos theta or r sin theta. And if you have this, you put x is equal to tan theta or cot theta. So anyway, dx becomes r sec square theta d theta. Therefore our integral becomes, instead of dx we will put this value upon, now here we have r square plus x square will be r square tan square theta, and whole to the power how much? 3 by 2. Okay. Now in the denominator you can see r square we can take common. If we take this r square common, we will be left with 1 plus tan square theta, that is nothing but sec square theta, and whole to the power 3 by 2. And in numerator we have r sec square theta d theta integration. Now let us solve further. Here r square sec square theta to the power 3 by 2. So 3 by 2. So this 2 and this powers will cancel. So we will be left with r sec theta whole cube. So this will become r cube and sec cube theta. So one r will cancel. We will be left with r square. Sec square theta will cancel. So one sec theta will be left behind, and 1 by sec theta, you know, student, that is cos theta. And what is integration cos theta? Integration cos theta is nothing but sin theta. So the answer is 1 by r square times sin theta. Okay. Now here the expression for magnetic field which we have obtained, that is in terms of x. The variable in this integral is x. It was x. We have converted x into another parameter theta. So we want to convert back theta into x. So we can easily do that. See, x is equal to r tan theta. That means tan theta is x upon r. Okay. Now if tan theta is x by r, suppose this is theta, this is 90 degree, this is x, r, tan theta is perpendicular by base. This hypotenuse becomes x square plus r square, and therefore sin theta will be how much? Perpendicular upon hypotenuse, that is this much. To put this value of sin theta, therefore our I becomes how much? Sin theta I'll write as x upon under root r square plus x square, and then there is this r square. Now we have got the value of I. This value of I we should put in this particular place, then we'll get the value of B. So let us see what does B become. So B will become mu naught n I r square upon 2 and that value x upon r square, this r square I'll put here, root under r square plus x square. Now what are the limits? Limits are from minus a to plus b. So these limits we'll put here, minus a to plus b. Now this r square will cancel. So we will be left with this much. So let us now see what do we get. So our b becomes mu naught ni upon 2. Instead of x we'll put first b. So b upon under root r square plus b square, then minus, then we put x is equal to minus a, so minus and minus will become plus a under root r square plus a square. Now this might look a bit complicated, but we can easily simplify this. In this particular arrangement, we'll choose two angles. So the left end minus a and the right end x is equal to plus b. So we will draw lines like this. We will take this angle as alpha and the other angle as beta. This angle will also be alpha and this angle will also be beta. Now in this figure, you try to write expressions for cos alpha and cos beta. Cos alpha, you can see in this particular triangle, will be base upon hypotenuse. Now this base is nothing but this length, that is a. Upon hypotenuse, this hypotenuse will be root under this square plus this square. Now this is nothing but radius. Radius is r. So under root r square plus a square. And cos beta will be b likewise in this triangle. Cos beta is base. This distance is b. So b upon under root r square plus a square. Is it clear? Now if you see, this term is nothing but cos alpha and this term to the left is nothing but cos beta, and therefore the magnetic field due to a finite solenoid at any point on its axis will be given by the formula mu naught ni upon 2 times cos alpha plus cos beta. So this is our final answer, students, and it is this which I wanted to discuss today. This particular derivation, how do we derive this expression? That is what I wanted to discuss. Now using this case of magnetic field due to a finite solenoid, we can extend this discussion to obtain the magnetic field due to long solenoid or any. This is the most general formula, okay, and this can be used for finding magnetic field at points on the axis for any kind of solenoid. Just we need to put the values for alpha and beta. So let's see some examples. For example, for long solenoid, if we have a long solenoid, that means it extends on either sides to infinity. Now you can see, if this becomes further long, what will happen to beta? Beta will decrease. Further long, beta will go on decreasing. If it becomes infinitely long, this angle beta would tend to 0. And likewise, this angle alpha, this side, also would tend to 0. Now, if angles alpha and beta tend to 0, then here the expression for magnetic field at any point on the axis of a long solenoid, within it, inside this, will be mu naught ni upon 2 cos 0 plus cos 0. Cos 0 is 1, cos 0 is 1, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 cancels. So what will be left? Mu naught times n times I. And this is what we expect. We know that the magnetic field formula is mu naught times n times I for a long solenoid. Let's see one more special case. If we have a long solenoid and we are positioned, suppose here at one end, so you can call it a semi-infinite solenoid. Clear? Or you can say a magnetic field at the end of an infinite or a very long solenoid. So at this point, see this point, if you shift to this particular end, this alpha goes on decreasing, and from here, from this end, the left end of the solenoid is at infinite distance, so that angle alpha would tend to 0. So alpha approaches 0. And because this point is over here, the other end is right above it, this one. So this angle is 90 degree. So beta tends to 90 degrees. So with these particular limits, our equation would give us the result B is equal to this one mu naught n I upon 2 cos alpha. Now what is alpha? 0 degree plus cos 90 degree. What is cos 90? 0. What is cos 0? 1. So 1 into this much will be this much. So our answer will be mu naught n I upon 2. Okay. So in this way we can extend this particular relation mu naught n I upon 2 cos alpha plus cos beta to obtain magnetic field at any point on the axis of a finite or infinite solenoid. Now, if you have understood this particular concept, I don't think I need to solve some numericals to explain you how to obtain magnetic field on the axis for different cases for a solenoid. So I would like you to do them yourselves. In the next class, we will come up with some numericals, combined numericals based on Barrett's Watt law, Ampere's circuit law, then this particular solenoid, then toroid, then a magnetic field to circular segments, straight segments, some of which we have already done also. So today I will not make the class lengthy. I just wanted to discuss this particular derivation students. I hope you have understood this. Please practice this once again in your notebook and then be ready for the next set of questions which I'll be taking up in the next class. So see you in the next class. Till then, take care. Thank you, students.